Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Inshallah, we're going to get started with our program right now. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless the time that we have in the mosque and to bless us to witness Ramadan. May Allah make it a beautiful, spiritual, fulfilling experience for us all. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us become better people and more spiritually in tune with our hearts. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us of those who are beautiful inwardly and outwardly, beautiful in their words and their actions and their character. And may we find fulfillment through our connection with Him. Allahumma ameen, Allahumma ameen. First off, thank you guys for whoever came early and was waiting for a lengthy time till we got started. We wanted to do the prayers first so that we can continue through and through with the explanation of what Ramadan's all about. For those of you guys who are Muslim and this is your first Ramadan, I pray that you find it an easy and fulfilling experience. For those of you who are here for the first time and still considering Islam, you're absolutely welcome. And for all of you guys are all welcome to ask any questions you'd like. I'm going to try to keep it short, simple, and straight to the point. As I said before prayers, if any of you guys would like to get any refreshments, they're over there. You're more than welcome to take anything you'd like as I'm talking. And for those who are watching this through the live stream, you're also more than welcome to send questions through the Converts and Reverts group that we have, and I'll do my best to get to them later on, inshallah. And Sister Huma, if you could please make sure that Sister Noor shares the link in our WhatsApp groups to join us live for anyone who couldn't make it in person. So just to give you guys a full idea, Ramadan is starting this year on Monday, March 11. It's the first day of fasting. And it's going to be continuing until Wednesday, April 10. Wednesday, April 10 is actually our day of Eid. And our last day of fasting is going to be Tuesday, April 9. Tuesday, April 9. For us as Muslims, Ramadan symbolizes one of the pillars of Islam. There are 5 pillars to Islam. These pillars we call Arkan al-Islam, represent those foundational things that are relating to the outward behaviors in Islam, the rituals, the actions. There are other things that are part of the foundations of the religion that we call 6 articles of faith. That's the backbone of the religion. Can you close that door, please, Sister Huma? So the foundations of the religion, the belief system, this is what we call the articles of faith. That's belief in one God, belief in the prophets, and belief in the revealed books, belief in the angels, belief in the day of judgment, and belief in divine decree. Those are the articles of faith. Ramadan symbolizes the 3rd pillar of Islam, which is fasting. And fasting for us as Muslims is a very spiritual experience. The month is meant to be a spiritual journey in which I connect with my soul. And the idea behind it being a spiritual journey, connecting with the soul, is because I, as a Muslim, seek to limit my indulgences in this month so that my soul could flourish, so that my presence, my spiritual presence, and my sense of spirituality could be amplified. Because those indulgences often blind us and distract us between food and eating, between marital relations, and other indulgences that Muslims avoid during the daytime of Ramadan. So the idea here, and this, the reason why connecting with my soul is so critical is because it's half of my being. Half of my being is the soul. Islam teaches us that I am made of a body and a soul. I know how to take care of the body, right? I need to eat a certain way and exercise a certain way and live a certain lifestyle in order for my body to remain viable for however long I'm going to live, right? And for the soul to remain viable, I need to make sure that I'm tending to its spiritual needs, or else I will feel a sense of suffocation. I call it spiritual suffocation within. For us as Muslims, anyone who's tasted Ramadan before, it's a very, very liberating feeling. Yeah, there's some difficulty. It requires patience. In fact, one of the names of Ramadan is the month of patience. In this month, we celebrate half of faith. Islam synthesizes, Allah teaches that faith is made up of two halves. Half of its patience, half of its gratitude. Patience is celebrated in Ramadan, and gratitude is celebrated in our other Eid. If you don't know about it, it's the Eid of sacrifice, where we celebrate the legacy of Abraham, Prophet Ibrahim, in the rituals of Hajj. And we can leave that for another discussion. But I'm celebrating as a Muslim the full spectrum of faith. We as Muslims, when we celebrate, we're taught to celebrate for meaningful things. I as a Muslim, when I worship, I'm taught to worship in a meaningful way, not a ritualistic way. Now, of course, many Muslims may not be in tune with these finer meanings, just to put that out as a disclaimer. Yeah, sure, there is a cultural aspect to the Ramadan experience. That's not necessarily bad, relating to foods and dishes and family gatherings. It's actually it's a month where people find themselves pulled together. But at the core of what pulls us together are very spiritual meanings, principles, values that we live by. That's why Ramadan is such a critical time. You find the mosques full every day and every night. So there is a daytime experience for the month of Ramadan, and then there's a nighttime one. We don't only worship in, when I say worship, I as a believer view everything in my life in a sense as it being part of a journey of worship, right? I'm not talking about worship in terms of doing rituals. We're not going to pray all day, of course. We're not going to fast all day either. But we seek to immerse ourselves for the full month in a sense of worship day and night. Day and night. So during the daytime, from Fajr time, which is from dawn until Maghrib, until sunset, we observe the worship of fasting, right? And if you're Muslim, you probably got exposed to prayer timetables, right? The prayer clocks through the apps or whatever it is that you have to be able to tell when the prayer times are. Our fast would start around 5 a.m. Now the time is going to change. The time's going to change actually right a day before Ramadan, right? So everything's going to go an hour ahead. So actually our fast is probably going to be starting around 6 a.m. in the very beginning of the month, and then it'll slowly go back as the time continues to change. So the Fajr or the dawn prayers will become earlier, and then the Maghrib, the night prayer, will become later, right? So when Ramadan starts, for example, our sunset prayer right now is 5:50, as you can see over there. Everything is going to go an hour ahead, so you can say we're probably going to be breaking our fast at the beginning of Ramadan around 7 p.m., right? Breaking our fast. So it's going to be from approximately 6 a.m. until about 7 p.m. The day is a lot shorter now than it was years back when Ramadan was in June. When Ramadan was in June, that's when we were fasting the longest days, right? By the way, why would the timing of Ramadan change from year to year? It's because we as Muslims, we follow a lunar calendar. And for that reason, the night comes in before the day. We calculate the beginning of our day from the nighttime, actually, right? So sunset is the beginning of a new day. So day 1 of Ramadan is going to actually be with sunset. It starts with sunset on Sunday, March 10. So we follow a lunar calendar, and that's why the first prayers that we do for Ramadan are going to be on Sunday night. Sunday night, which is March 10. Sunday, March 10 at night is going to be when we do our first prayers in the mosque for Ramadan. So since we follow a lunar calendar, we lose about 11 days a year when you compare it to the solar calendar. So our lunar calendar, we call it the Hijri calendar. Hijri calendar. It's demarcated. So in our Islamic calendar, when we're in the year 1445. So we're in the year 1445, and in the Common Era calendar, or the Gregorian calendar, we're in 2024, right? So 1445 seems like a really long time ago, right? But in the lunar calendar, that's the current year that we're in. It's demarcated by an event in the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is called the Hijrah, and that's when he emigrated from Mecca to Medina. If you're interested in learning more about his life, and I definitely encourage you to do so, if you want to learn more about Islam, we have a lot of lectures online. You could find them on our YouTube channel or on our website as well, about the life of the Prophet. You could listen to, we have a series on that. You could listen to that if you're interested in learning more. If you go to YouTube, you just go to ICPC Clifton, or you could just go to our website, icpcnj.org, and you'll find the series there as well. So anyway, that's a little bit about the lunar calendar. So just, I guess, a fun fact, every 33 years, or 33 years, I think it is, you get an extra year according to our lunar calendar as opposed to the solar calendar. So if you're interested in being a little bit older, you're probably a little bit older. If you're more than 30 years old, you're a year older than your current age in the lunar calendar. So that's just a side note. Anyway, so for us as Muslims in Ramadan, we fast. And the word for fasting is siyam. And there are a few meanings behind this word that really describe what this act of worship of fasting is all about. It's not like intermittent fasting, because that's something that people do for their bodies to become healthier, right? That's definitely a perk and a benefit that we find in fasting, that it gives, it's like a corrective measure for the body that we have in Islam every single year. That's, of course, if you follow the spirit of fasting. So the whole idea, the spirit of fasting is about being a person who's not too attached to material things, not a person of indulgence and desire. So, but sometimes that meaning will get a little lost. So you'll find Muslims, they'll fast all day, and then when it comes time to iftar, they'll make up for the entire day with as much food as they can. But then they'll feel sick a little bit after that, because you can only eat so much while you're fasting, right? You get fuller much faster, right? So anyway, but this act of worship of fasting comes from the word siyam, and what siyam means is to stop, to be silent. So we use the word siyam to also refer to refraining from speech, and to stop meaning to calm down, to they say the winds do siyam, meaning they quell. It causes a sense of peace and tranquility. Fasting is supposed to change my character. It's supposed to change the way I talk and walk and treat those around me. Our religion teaches us that there are those who may fast, they won't eat, they won't drink, but the only thing they'll get out of that act is exhaustion and hunger. And then there are those who will pray of the night, and the only thing that they will get out of that prayer is exhaustion and sleeplessness. So in that sense, Islam teaches me to always tie between my ritual worship and my behavior. It should be a transformative experience. It should change my life. That's what fasting is all about. So that's why Ramadan for us is in a sense the month of change. The dynamics are all changed because Islam doesn't want me to be a slave of routine, right? It wants to completely disrupt and upend what I got used to for the rest of the year so I could expose myself to a new reality. So that I could ingrain within my psyche the idea that, hey, you know what, if I wanted to abandon certain habits, I could. If I wanted to give up certain things, I could. I'm not as weak as I don't want to be a slave of my desires. So that's the whole liberating experience with fasting. So that I'm not a slave of anything else other than God. I'm a slave of God. I'm a servant of God, right? So during the daytime, I won't eat, I won't drink, and I won't engage in marital relations. And I also won't do sinful acts. Because good deeds in Ramadan are multiplied just as bad deeds are too. I'll watch my tongue. I will watch my eyes, watch what I'm listening to. I'll be conscious of my every act. The whole purpose of the month of fasting is to become a true servant of the Creator. Why? Because fasting is a very private action. If, when no one's around, I wanted to take a sip of water, who on earth is ever going to find out, right? I said this example, in our Friday forum, it's more of a relaxed, joking setting, so I said it yesterday. If I find myself in isolation with a cookie, and I take a bite of the cookie, right? Who on earth is ever going to find out that I just took a bite of a cookie? Unless I have some chocolate left over on my lips or something of the sort. But if I erase the evidence good enough, hey, guess what? No one's ever going to find out, right? So it's a personal, private act of worship. That's the idea behind fasting. Then when I come to the night, I revive the night in prayer. We have in Ramadan, every single night in our mosque, we have what we call Taraweeh prayers. And what Taraweeh prayers is, these are the night prayers of Ramadan. And you find this space here, upstairs and downstairs, full with people. These are extra prayers. They're not required, but they're encouraged. Because, there's this idea, in Ramadan, I'm searching for something. I'm searching for forgiveness. In fact, the way that we word it is in our prayers, we'll make this prayer all the time, every single night, and you probably hear me translate it into English. Oh Allah, emancipate us from hell, right? Emancipation from hell. Itqun minan nar. What does that mean? Emancipate me from hell. What does that idea mean? The idea means that I'm looking for a lifestyle change in Ramadan that'll put me down a path that'll ultimately lead to Jannah. It doesn't mean I'm going to become a perfect human being. No, I'm going to make mistakes, but the idea is I want the beginning of goodness, a good path to be born in Ramadan, right? So that's something I'm seeking every single night. The mosque is full with Taraweeh prayers. They're extra prayers. They're not required. And you'll find that the imam will be reciting out loud from the Quran. And we do, in our mosque here, 8 units of prayer, 8 cycles of prayer. It usually takes us about an hour, 15 minutes. And then at the very end of this, it'll be concluded with witr prayers, right? And what witr prayers is, it's the conclusion of the prayers of the night. It ends with a dua, a supplication that's made out loud by the imam, and everyone behind is saying Ameen. In English, the word for Ameen is amen. They're very close. Now, what does that mean? Oh God, answer my prayers, right? Oh God, answer my prayers. Allahumma astajib. So Taraweeh is not required. We pray it collectively. It could be prayed alone, even alone in your home. And you could choose, instead of to pray the full range of it, you could even pray 2 rak'ahs, 2 units of prayer. The idea is to pray extra, to do extra things, to be more benevolent, to be more lighthearted. Anyone who's tasted Ramadan, you will find that it helps you tap into an energy source that, is hard to explain. It's hard to explain it. It gives you just this jolt of energy, and you feel just so excited, so jubilant, so happy. And it's something that we as Muslims look forward to. You guys know, how many of you here have fasted a Ramadan before? Can you raise your hand, just so I know? Right? Some of you have, some of you on the brother side. Very good. So in Ramadan, we continue to search for this blessed night. This blessed night is towards the end of the month. So in the first, our prayers follow that same format. By the way, we have like a booklet with all of our programs and all the details. We stay overnight in our mosque here every Friday and Saturday. We have a talk at midnight in the mosque here with myself and some other guest speakers about different relevant topics. That talk's at midnight, lasts for about an hour. And then we continue to pray of the night all the way until Fajr prayer times, right? And we do that every Friday, Saturday. Then when the last 10 come in, it's on a daily basis. We're here throughout the entire night, and the mosque's open. And we usually have pretty big numbers. You'll find that there's high traffic in the mosque, especially in those last 10. Because in those last 10, there is a coveted night, a very blessed night. It's described in the Quran as a night of great peace. And that night is what we call the night of decree, Laylatul Qadr. The night of decree is the night in which revelation began to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and that night is a night of great blessings and goodness. You will find that many Muslims, there's a lot of different reports, and when is that night? Is it a known night or not? Some of them say it's a known night, and that is the night of the 27th. And that's why you'll find that our mosque is at its fullest all year round. It's an amazing sight. You will not find anything like it in places of worship today. This is all across the world, by the way, in places of worship all across the world. This year, it happens to come on Friday night, and it's April 5th. Friday night, April 5th, is going to be the night of the 27th. Our mosque is full to the brim, and people are outside. This mosque and our location in Patterson, and in fact, every single mosque that you'll find in the area. Go to the mosque, you will find it full to the brim. For the entire night, people will come at when our night prayers start, around 9 p.m. or 8:30 p.m., and they will stay in the mosque for the whole night all the way until dawn time. You're not required to do that, but you're welcome to experience it if you want to see something. If you've never experienced it before, even if you're still considering Islam and you're not a Muslim, you're welcome to come experience it and see it for yourself. We stay in the mosque till about 5 a.m., 6 a.m., and we do many different things, different prayers, and it's a very, very blessed time. The other opinion is that this night, the night of the 27th, is not the night of decree is not a specific night, but rather it's one of the last 10. The whole idea behind Ramadan is so that it could create within me a sense of urgency. If I'm complacent, I'll never change my life. Ramadan helps me develop within me a sense of urgency. And when that comes to life issues, especially those big life issues, when I seek to, regret my wrongdoing, better myself, become a better person with my character, better in my relationships, and so on. Those critical things that, have a deep impact on our life experience, it is essential and paramount that I develop a sense of urgency in doing that, right? Because, I'm only going to live for so long in this life. I don't know how long I'm going to be here. Even healthy people today might find their demise tomorrow. I have no idea, right? I have no idea. So the idea in Islam is take advantage of every moment. Don't waste it, because it may very well be your last. And how should you take advantage of it? Well, some people choose to take advantage of it for, things that are fleeting by nature, things that aren't going to last. I want to make sure I get to enjoy myself, go here, go there, and have fun, and this, so on and so forth. But Islam teaches us, even those things are not bad, but I understand my journey in this life as being an otherworldly pursuit. This is not the end-all, be-all. There's something beyond this life that I'm looking for and searching for. There are, the exact Quranic reference for the night of power and the night of decree, it's referred to as a night that's better than 1,000 months, right? Laylatul Qadri khayrun min alfi shahr. 1,000 months. How long is that? And by a chance, any of you guys know how long 1,000 months is? Any of you guys know? How long is 1,000 months? I guarantee you, no one in this room has lived for 1,000 months. Right, Sister Uma? No one here has lived for 1,000 months. 1,000 months is approximately 80 odd years. I think it's like 83 or something like that. 83 years, there you go, 83 years. You guys did the math there. There you go. So 83 years. It's interesting. How could a night be better than a life? 83 years, you're talking about people, many people nowadays wish they could reach to see their 80s, right? Because it's a luxury that not everyone could expect to get, live to your 80s. Many people die much younger than that, right? So how could a night be better than 1,000 months, than a lifetime? The answer in this is, Islam is teaching me to have this mindset towards time. The only significance and value in time is in how I choose to capitalize on it. There are those who live for a lifetime, yet their lives are worthless. And there are those who live for a very short time in this life, and their lives matter with the value of many lives over. Meaning the amount of goodness in the time they spent, the great things that they've done for themselves and those around them. Their heart, their attitude, their sincerity, their service, so on and so forth. The only goodness in time is in the way I choose to take advantage of it, right? So that's what Ramadan teaches me. It teaches me to be a person who's mindful of these realities, time, and also the realities of change, and the realities of lifestyle, patience, urgency, so on and so forth. These are all different concepts that are tied into the idea behind Ramadan. One of the things, why is taming the desires such a critical thing that Islam made a month-long journey to try to endeavor to tame that? Why is Ramadan a month long? Why can't it just be a day, right? Why is that like overkill or something? Like why the overkill? Why a full month? Islam's teaching us something. It's not easy to change habits. There's no way that you could change a habit in a day or a few days or even in a week. It needs to be sustained change. And that's, someone asked before we started if I could talk about this idea of fasting outside of Ramadan, right? So that mindset actually continues outside of Ramadan too. When Ramadan finishes, the mindset is as soon as you finish celebrating Eid, then you have something called the 6 days of Shawwal, right? It's this renewed commitment that, I'm not just worshiping God one day a week or 1 month in the year. No, that doesn't work. That's fake. That's disingenuous. If I consider, my connection with God, only being a part-time commitment, then you know what? I'm not really being genuine with my beliefs and my values. If I could divorce my daily life from my sense of purpose, then it's not really a sense of purpose, right? We as Muslims are taught to derive our purpose from our connection with God. So that's why it's a month-long thing. That's why, to help facilitate real change. Desires are one of the two destructive forces that Islam teaches us that are in life. There are two destructive forces that could completely derail people in their living. The first of these disruptive forces is misconceptions. Our attitude, our perception towards things defines the way we will function, react. That's why our entire struggle, if you come to the Sunday class, back to the basics, or the basics of Islam, we spoke about this a lot, how our entire struggle with the shaitan, with Satan, with the devil, is characterized by this struggle for perception. The devil wants to dilute perception in my eyes. How do I perceive things? Well, you know what? That's going to define my entire course of action, right? So misconceptions, that's one of the two destructive forces that could derail people. The second one is desires. Desires could have this grip on people to the extent that it becomes a form of enslavement. There are people who are slaves to their desires. May Allah not make us from them. right? Actually the Quran refers to it as that. أَرَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهَهُ هَوَاهُ. Do you see the one who's taken his desire as his Lord, as his deity? It has that type of grip on people that it becomes a form of servitude, meaning I can't get this desire out. I need this and I need it now, right? I can't live without this. There are people who, and when we think of desires, they're not only sexual in nature, by the way. They come in many forms. Money, business, power, position, relationships. There's many different types of desires. Islam wants me to be liberated from them all. Because when I'm liberated from them all, that's when I will experience true spiritual clarity. That's what Ramadan's supposed to help me gain. So these are some of the features of the month. Fasting the day, praying the night. Prayers of the night called Taraweeh. We also have late night prayers. That's what you were asking about earlier, Diego. And that's Tahajjud, right? We still have that in Ramadan as well. But that's something extra that you could do on the side. As part of the features of Ramadan, we also encourage to engage in a lot of dua. There's times when dua is very special, supplication. Very, very special times. When are the most special times to call upon God? That's in the late part of the night, when people are asleep. And also that's right before you break your fast. When you break your fast. God doesn't need me to starve myself. It's not about that. It's about me needing that. And it's not about starving the self. SubhanAllah, many people who aren't Muslim, they just can't imagine, well, okay, you know what? I can understand the idea of intermittent fasting. But man, why would you guys not even drink water? That's like so physically punishing. Like, why would you do that? But then when you come to Muslims and you see them try it out, you see we have children in our community, 7 years old, 8 years old, 9 years old, and they do this, no problem whatsoever. It's not about that. It's about the will that people, there's people on the other side of the world who are forced into fasting right now because of their poverty. They're impoverished. They don't have opportunity. One of the worst things that we as people who are quote-unquote privileged, right? Privileged at varying levels, right? But everyone, or I should say most people, vast majority, not everyone, the majority of people in our country have a sense of privilege when you compare them to the rest of the world, right? At varying levels. There are people who have high levels of privilege, and then there are others who are facing some struggles, but nothing like the struggles of people in impoverished parts of the world, right? So entitlement is actually one of those things that are so, entitlement is one of those things that's so corrosive on the idea of servitude. And we could talk about that a lot, but we're not going to talk about that more tonight. I really encourage you guys, invest your time to come into the space. It's beautiful to see people come together to remember God. We also have a lot of iftars planned. Iftar is the big fast, is when we break our fast with sunset. We have a lot of those planned at our mosques here and in Patterson. And also in Prospect Park. It's a very beautiful communal feel to Ramadan. Where you see people come together. And the idea is, one of the beautiful things about this mosque is, and not this mosque, all mosques, is that we don't really have a membership policy. It's an open door policy. Everyone is welcome to come. You find someone coming in for the very first time and they're welcome as part of a bigger family, right? So it's open door. And we truly, and I'm not just saying that, we truly don't know who's walking in through the door. We may know some, but the majority of those who walk into our spaces are not people who are necessarily known because of this open door policy. So you're welcome to come join the community for the programs, for the social events, for the nighttime, for the daytime. We have tons of things. In fact, as Ramadan's coming in, you're going to see that we have a booklet of all the things that you could expect in the masjid. It's going to be produced. It's going to be published soon, and you could follow along. If you can't come in person, you could always, we live on live stream in Ramadan, so you're going to find us always on Facebook and YouTube with new things being put out there on various different subjects. You're welcome to join whatever you can. So I think, with that, that's a sufficient level of explanation of what to expect in Ramadan. And now I'll leave you guys with the opportunity to ask questions if you'd like. Anyone have questions that they'd like to ask about Ramadan? Anything you'd like to ask? Feel free. Yes. Okay. Yes. So as a traveler, you're excused from fasting. And of course, so there are a few things that excuse you from fasting. Let me just zoom out a little bit, and then I'll answer your question part of that. There are a few things that excuse you from fasting. One of those things is, for women, it's the monthly cycle. They should not fast during that time. Or for pregnant women, or for breastfeeding women, especially if it's going to harm their health or affect their ability to, nurse their children. These are all excuses from fasting. There are also some medical conditions that excuse people from fasting, such as if people need to regularly take certain medicines, like tablets or through their mouth or something of the sort, at junctures during the day, and they cannot fast, then we consider them among the chronically ill. They're excused from fasting. And in this case, they would just give what we call a fidya, which is a small monetary donation instead of their fast. It's approximately $15 per day that they do not fast. And then there are temporary illnesses that would excuse people. Like people, so there's another chronic illness, like people who are in old age. They're very frail. They're unable to endure the fast. They're excused from fasting. Sometimes people become temporarily ill. Like you get a fever, you get some type of sickness, and it becomes difficult for you to fast. You're excused from fasting. You don't need to fast, right? Another excuse from fasting is travel. And, it becomes an excuse if your travel starts from the night on that day. If you travel during the daytime, that first day you should fast it, unless it becomes too difficult and you feel it's causing you to feel like weak or something of the sort, then you can break your fast, and that would give you the ruling of the temporarily ill. If you break your fast for that type of reason, all you got to do is just make it up after Ramadan. And then, we go, how long is your travel? If you're going to one location and you're going to be there for 6 days or less, then you're good to go. You could break your fast, and that's fine, no problem at all. If you're traveling to multiple locations, as long as you're not staying in one place for a long enough period for you to, have, an extended stay there, then you don't need to worry about fasting. You got it? So, but if you're going to a place and you're going to be gone for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you should fast while you're there. You got it? Huh? Is it a 7-day trip? Okay, so in this case, and is it in one location? If it's in one location, you should fast, unless you find difficulty in that. If you get difficult, then break your fast and make it up later on. Okay? Yeah. So yeah, that's about illness. There was also, so who else has questions? What other types of questions you guys have? Anyone else have questions? Yes. Can you fast without being a Muslim? So I would encourage you to get exposed to it, experience it, and then you could, along with the fast, because it's not just about the food. It's not about the drink. Try to expose yourself to what Ramadan's about. Read the Quran. Call upon God. And ask Him to guide you, if this is good, if there's truth in this religion, that He opens your heart to it, right? So I would say, if you want to fast with that intention, go ahead. No problem. Experience it. Because I guess you will not know what it means to fast until you try it, right? So you could try it. Try it. We have in our converts group, many people who have now become Muslim. Their first days started like that. They tried it out first. They tried Ramadan. They fasted a full, I know multiple people fasted a full Ramadan, and they were not even Muslim. They just wanted to get the experience and see how it feels and how it makes them feel. Yeah. You're very welcome. So anyone else have questions? Who else? Yeah, go ahead. What happens if you break your fast? What do you mean? Like due to what? If you eat by accident, then you can actually continue to fast. Because there are certain things that, you're not held accountable for. Like if it's an accident and you didn't do it, you forgot that you were fasting, then there's no way God's going to hold me accountable for something I've forgotten or something that was done mistakenly or something like that. So in that case, don't worry about it. Continue fasting. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, it would not literally invalidate your fast, but it would remove the reward. So it would break your fast in a sense, meaning that you will get, if you're someone who is doing an act of worship but then doing all kinds of sins alongside it, this is going to cancel each other out, So the idea is about really transforming your life, right? So you're not gonna it's not gonna break your fast in the sense that you have to make it up later on. No, because we all make mistakes, but it'll just lessen your reward. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Intentionally. So if you were to break your fast intentionally, like by eating and not due to illness or anything like that, you just say, you know what, I don't feel like doing this today. I'm not in a good mood, or whatever it is. The urge to eat the cookie is just too big, so I'm just going to go for it. The answer to this is, of course, for us, it's as Muslims, it's this seen as a sin, and you would need to make up the day later on. You'd need to repent from this act, and then you'd need to make it up later on. It's actually a blessing from God that it's considered a sin, it's obligation. If fasting Ramadan was not obligatory, then it would be so difficult. It would, for the best of people to fast. Imagine that if I had the option, hey, you know what? You could choose to pray, or you could just put a $5 donation here. You know how many people are going to choose to put the $5 donation and just move on with their life? But how disingenuous is that? So God made it obligatory on me because he wants me to experience this and get exposed to this. Yeah. Yeah. So you just have to make up the day later on and repent from that act. Yeah. Any other questions you guys got? Any other questions? Yeah. Yeah, so after the month, I would choose any given day and just fast that day instead of what I should have fasted. Yeah. Same idea from dawn until sunset. Yeah. Yeah. You're very welcome. Absolutely. All right, then I think we've gone for about an hour, and I think this is good enough time. Do we have is the food here? Oh, okay. So we actually have sandwiches, right? Very good sandwiches over there for you guys. We have about a half an hour, which is perfect amount of time until our last prayer for the night. For those of you who prayed with us Maghrib, we already prayed the last prayer for the night. We joined them because there was rain. But those who weren't with us, they're going to come in right now and they're going to want to do the prayer at 7:30. So you guys have half an hour. Feel free to talk to each other. Have the sandwiches, please, over there, and enjoy your time. It's a pleasure to have you in the mosque. And once again, I'm here to help you guys. Ever need any questions answered? I'm happy to help you. Sister Huma is also here representing the Converts and Reverts Committee, and she's also actually the head of the ICPC office. So you could feel free to ask her any administrative questions too. Okay? Jazakumullah khair. Thank you so much, and assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. By the way, guys, I forgot to mention this. Up here, we have several different books. One of these books is about Ramadan. And we have other books. We have a translation of the Quran, a how to pray book. We have also a translation in Spanish and some other books. These are for you guys to take. Anyone who wants to take one of these books, feel free to look at them. And if you see something that interests you, feel free to take it. Okay?